Okay, welcome to the second part of this video. So we already have the melody, which was based on C major, and then we have the second part of the melody, the bass notes also based on C major. Now what it means is you can choose any bass note to any of the melody notes. Some of it will sound more dissonant, some of it will sound nicer. So you can do it for all the long notes. You can do it for any of the bass notes, any of the melody notes, but I'm gonna choose at the end of the phrases. So I'm gonna find a bass note to accompany that, then a bass note to accompany that, another bass note to accompany that, and another bass note to accompany that. So I'm gonna find 4 bass notes for each of those long notes. So let's say I do then E, then maybe F, then G and D. So that's one way. I'm repeating the bass note. Maybe repeat the whole thing. Now this is not necessarily the easiest way to play, but it's easy to see at least. Okay, so that starts sounding interesting. I can also change the groove. I'm adding a click. So that's one way of doing it. So right now there's no chords, but we are actually creating something very important. We're creating what's called counterpoint. Counterpoint is melody against melody. So there's a bass melody and there's a chord, there's a melody on top, and then there's a bass melody on the bottom. The lower note is the bass melody, top part is the melody that people sing or people play or another instrument we play. Now, once you have the lower note and the outer note here, you can actually find chords by adding notes in between. So example, this C and E, this is a stretchy fingering here. I might not like using this. I might want to try to see if I can play the C somewhere else. That's another place. Now this is a little easier. Now if I was, so that's possible. Or I could do the same melody if I can find another place maybe. So that's easier, you know, just C and E there. And I'm filling in the notes in between. I know this is C major. One of the chords from C major is actually the C major chord. And I happen to know the C major chord here. So I could use the C major because the notes are C, E, G, C, E, which are all notes diatonic to C major, meaning they're all in the scale of C major. So I could do, that's possible. Then I had the second part of my C, D, and I went to this E here. I could do, so here I'm using E minor. E minor is another chord in the key of C. E, D, E, G, B, E, G. So this is a fuller sound. Then maybe I want to go to the F major 7, F just now. I do. So this is 3, 2, 1, 0, F major 7. The bass note is here now instead of doing it here. Then the last note is, last melody is D. I might choose G major. So this is G, B, D, G, D. So if I use that, now what happens is I moved it to the open position. The bass notes I kept there, but I've put in notes in between, and the notes I've chosen are in the key. It doesn't have to be in the key, but if you start by using notes from the key, diatonic to the key, usually it sounds sweeter, it sounds nicer. So I'm going to play it again with these chords that I just used. if after I find these chords, what I sometimes do is maybe I'll do a little right hand pattern, embellish it a little bit. Now this may seem like quite a leap from where we started, but the first time you learn this, I think the most important thing is that you want to see how the thinking is behind this. How am I thinking about it? And I'm slowing this down so that you understand every step of the process. Now, you may not know exactly the chords I'm playing. You may have to practice the scales separately, but understanding the process will help you do it with any scale or any chord or any key, really. So this is what I'm going to add next. Is I'm going to add some embellishment and do some pattern so it sounds like accompaniment in between. But it's basically still the bass note and the melody notes with the chords in between happening. So example. What if I added a little groove? So it starts sounding different. And the main thing is, in order to find these, you can do it pretty intuitively just by randomly looking for chords that, as long as they have the top note at this point, as long as it's the melody note that sustains, you can use any chord you want. But if you want it to sound sweet, you try to figure out what are the chords in the key. In this case, what if you were going to Google stuff online, what you want to find is diatonic chords of C major scale. That's something to Google and check out. Or C major scale fingerings, or C major diatonic chord shapes, or chords of the C major scale, or triads of the C major scale. Now, I know I'm saying a lot of things, but all these things, the more you know about chords in the key, then you want to find the chord shapes for those. The main thing is to keep the melody on the top. Now, any melody note can be harmonized with many different chords. Start with the diatonic chords first. From that, you start expanding to chords outside of the key. Now, for C major, I'm just going to tell you all the triads. And again, if anything is, if I move too fast, just watch the video again and take notes. Nothing beats actually taking notes and then later. This video, you can revisit it again and again to get the idea clearer. So in C major, you have 7 triads. C major, and all the different versions you can find of C major, and F major, and then G major. Actually, if you just use C, F, and G, you can do a lot already. But besides those 3 chords, there's also all the minor chords. So in the key of C major, you also have D minor, E minor, and A minor. So you have C major, F major, G major. That's the 1, 4, and 5. And then you have the minor chords, D minor, E minor, and A minor. Those are the 2 minor, 3 minor, and 6 minor. There's one more chord, which is less commonly used. It's called B Diminish. So it is B, D, F. In this case, I'm using this fingering. 2nd, 3, 4, 3. B Diminish. Now this not used as much. It's diatonic, it exists, but it's just not as popular because it sounds more dissonant in a way. So that's what I would suggest is write a melody and try to figure out a bass note. If it's hard for you to play the melody and the bass note at the same time, record the melody, and then while listening to the melody, find another record the melody, and then find the bass notes by playing over the recording of the melody. And that's the lesson so far. So hopefully this is helpful, and if you have any questions, just ask away. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Take care. Bye.